Mom talks sports now. Talk sports. Mom talks sports. Mom talks sports.
Welcome to Macho Talk Sports, episode 6. I'm your host, Macho. I'm here with my boy, Daniel Flores. Daniel, how you doing, bro?
Doing great, bro. Always a pleasure and super excited.
Good. I got my boy, Ryan Aybar from Aybar Report. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm hanging in there.
And then I got my boy, Omar from Cityboytimes. How you doing, Omar?
Pleasure to be on your show, bro.
Glad to have y'all, man. Week 1 is finally in the books. We're going to get straight into this. We're going to go over every game individually. And what I want from you guys is just give me one thing that stood out to you in that game specifically. We are going to start with the Cowboys versus the Eagles. For me, I'm going to start this one off. What really stood out to me was A.J. Brown getting one target in the last maybe 2 minutes of the game for 8 yards. And then that was it. I don't know exactly what was the game plan. It looked like they were kind of just trying to do whatever the defense gave them, kind of taking the easy plays there. Dallas Goedert ended up with 7 receptions somehow, but between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they probably got, I think, about 3 receptions, which really stood out to me. And then I will ask you, Daniel, what stood out to you during this game?
Honestly, what stood out to me is that the Cowboys were actually able to hang in there. Dak was throwing absolute dots, and surprisingly, CD just had bricks for hands. He dropped a few passes in key spots. Probably should have thrown it over to George Pickens, but, I don't run that offense.
And then Ryan, what stood out for you during this game, man?
Yeah, so for me, like Daniel said, the Cowboys keeping it close was a big surprise. But what really stood out to me was CeeDee Lamb and his 4 drops. That's a career high. He catches at least 2 of those. The Cowboys probably win that game. So that was big for me.
For sure. And then Omar, what was something that stood out to you during this game?
Bad plays by the receiver, the offense of the team, and the Eagles just surviving. That was the thing that I noticed. The Eagles just survived. Had Dallas played a good game and those catches, instead of misses would have become receptions, I don't think the Eagles would have won that game. They barely survived.
I definitely agree. Now, if Jalen Carter doesn't spit on Dak, do you think that this game goes any different? I'll open it up to the field.
I don't know. I can't. I don't think so. I think it would have still turned out the same, in my opinion. I think because, like I said, the way that the Eagles were playing,
their defensive. I don't know. It wasn't the same. They weren't flying around as much. Or secondary seemed to be just be a step behind at all times. Again, if it just wasn't for the drops, they probably would have lost that game.
I feel like the extra pressure coming from Jalen Carter would have probably made some of those dots from Dak Prescott a little off target or a little bit, or at least give him a little more pressure where he probably has to go for a scramble or something like that. But I don't feel like they got to him as much as they would have with Jalen Carter there. But that's his damn fault for being that stupid to get ejected from Apopka, man. Apopka, Florida. You know how we do.
Florida, man. Yep.
So we're going to move on to this next game, man, that Friday night game with the Chiefs and the Chargers in San Paulo. Omar, I'm going to have you start this one. What is something that stood out to you during this game?
Herbert outdueling Mahomes. Like, who would have ever thought that he was going to outduel Patrick, the guy Mahomes? Like, you could tell, like, he was just on the ball. Like, that's all I can say. Yeah. He won the duel. He was the better quarterback.
He definitely was.
Simple. The stats will tell you he was the better quarterback.
And then Ryan, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Yeah, I agree. Justin Herbert, just because of the Charger style of play, I expected them to kind of run the ball and control time of possession. But they actually, not only did they control time of possession, but they did it in the air, which I didn't expect. Justin Herbert, 25 of 34, 73.5 completion rate, 318 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 131.7 passer rating. He did it all. He
Sheesh.
went crazy. So yeah.
And then Daniel, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Carol G. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, just like Ryan said, Jim Harbaugh is known for just, let's hand off the rock and let's just pound the ball, pound the ball. They came out gunslinging. I mean, Herbert, I know he has all the intangibles. He is that prototypical quarterback, probably starting to put it together. It also helps that his receivers are actually catching balls as opposed to dropping balls. But that last play to just, I think it was a 3rd and 14 scramble to win and a little swag, it's Justin Herbert football. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and then Justin Herbert. We all know Justin Herbert is a great quarterback, but that team historically relies on that running game, and that Chiefs defense was able to stop that run pretty much all game. Omar and Hampton, I feel like even though he's a rookie, he's a great rookie. He's well equipped to handle the NFL kind of schedule and defense coming from the SEC, but only 15 rushing attempts and 48 yards. He wasn't really able to get anything going. And on the other side, it looks like they couldn't really get anything going on the other side, too, on the ground, with Isaiah Pacheco only getting 25 yards and 5 rushing attempts. I think Kareem Hunt also had 5 rushing attempts. Patrick Mahomes ended up leading this team in rushing yards, and that's not a recipe for success. So we're going to move on to the first game of Sunday in this Sunday slate, which was the Falcons versus the Bucks. We had the Falcons at home losing 20-23. I'm going to start with Ryan for this one. Ryan, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
Michael Penix, 298 passing yards in the air, 27-42. He had a passing touchdown and then also 1 rushing touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He looked sharp. He looked really sharp, and I really liked him coming out of that draft out of Washington. He looked really, really good. The deep ball looked good. Like Justin Herbert, he was doing it all in the air. So that really stood out to me.
For sure. And then Daniel, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Honestly, it's the same thing. It's Michael Penix. He was on my list to watch this season.
Mm-hmm.
The dude, how he controlled the offense and just engineering drives where he needed to. Of course, on the other side, Baker Mayfield didn't do so bad. Started off kind of a little shaky, but then kind of got in the groove of things. Overall, it was a great, great game.
Great divisional game. Omar, what was something that stood out to you during this game?
I would say that's something that a lot of people would talk about. I would say the Bulls' defense, the Bucks' defense it looked different. It looked like a legitimate top 10 defense in the league. It looked good. The schemes were on point. They were blitz heavy, and then like the usual Bulls defense, like it looked really, really smooth. Yeah. I was really watching them, and I really like how that defense looked and how it was set up.
Yeah, they look good this year, man. They look good this year. They looked good last year too, but trying to kind of work on what they did last year and try to improve it. For me, what stood out was Bijan Robinson wasn't able to get anything done on the ground, only 24 rushing yards, but finds a way to get it done through the air with 6 receptions and 100 receiving yards. He's one of those complete running backs that could kind of do it all. When they drafted him at his rookie season, they leaned a lot towards kind of a committee back with him and Tyler Algier. Now seeing him kind of just get let loose and be able to run this offense the way that he should, getting all the touches that he should, I think he's going to flourish this year. And that's going to open up a lot for the Falcons, as well as how good Michael Penix played. 27 for 42. You would like to see a little higher completion percentage. But he also got it done on the rushing with that rushing touchdown, which is something you don't really expect from him, especially with his injury history. But to see that he's not scared to actually go for it, you love to see that in your starting quarterback, which hopefully it looks like that should be their franchise quarterback. They did end up taking him in the first round, even after signing Kirk Cousins. So they like him. It's just whether he can actually get it done as his first year as a full starter. Going into a very surprising game, we got the Browns putting up a fight against the Bengals 16-17 in Cleveland. I'm going to go to Omar for this one. Omar, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Joe Burrow, like what happened? That's my question. What happened?
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm gonna say. What happened? A 86 something passer rating? What? 113 yards? That's not what we expect. And I'm not a fan. As a fan and as a coach, I would be like, I need more from you. I need at least 200 yards from you, and I need like at least a passer rating higher than 86. Like, bro, you look like a backup quarterback out there, bro. Like, you need to do better. That's not Joe Burrow numbers, in my opinion. Question mark. What happened to Joe Burrow? Where is the real one?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Can the real Joe Burrow please stand up? So Daniel Flores, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
Honestly, it's AFC North football. It's going to be ugly. They know each other. That defense, it's Cleveland. That's pretty much all they have outside of Joe Flacco throwing the ball 45 times, which is ridiculous. And then Burrow did get killed by Myles Garrett on one of those dropbacks. But yeah, I mean, it's just AFC North football. Bengals are notorious slow starters. I think this is just, hey, we escaped with a win, and then they're probably going to light up the next team they're going to play.
And then Ryan, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Yeah, so I feel like it's easy to get caught up in the, slump from Joe Burrow and the lack of production from Jamar Chase. But for me, well, first of all, the Bengals are notorious for being really bad in season openers. This is their first season opening win since 2021. But what stood out to me is that Bengals defense. Let's give them credit. It forced 2 late game interceptions, one by Jordan Battle and the other by DJ Turner II, to secure the win. So let's just give credit where credit's due. I mean, that defense stepped up, and that's a defense that's known for being one of the worst in the league in recent memory. So that's what really stood out to me, that Bengals defense.
Yeah, that Bengals defense definitely did solidify that win. But for me, what really stands out, I'm gonna look towards the Cleveland side. Their tight end, their rookie tight end, Harold Fannin Jr. He came in with 7 receptions and 63 yards. I think that was huge. They lined him up a lot as wide receiver. And I think there was a good amount of times where they had him and Njoku on the field at the same time. I think when they spread out the ball like that and they have those two as well as Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, who also had pretty good games against that defense, Joe Flacco is known to throw the ball. As old as he is, he's known to sling that ball. So if you give him some weapons, there's going to be games where he's going to be able to sneak one out, especially with that defense and the way that they played against this Bengals offense, which is technically a powerhouse. They don't really pay anyone on that franchise, but they did pay Jamar Chase. They did pay Joe Burrow. They did pay T. Higgins. They made sure they paid their playmakers, and none of them stepped up that game. Chase Brown was the only one that actually did something on that offense, to my opinion, and they're going to have to find a way to figure it out. Normally they do, but hopefully it's not too late, because that's what happened last year. They got behind the ball, and they weren't able to make up the ground. So hopefully they're able to actually step it up. They actually played in the preseason, which is something that they normally don't do, to try to avoid something like this, and then it still ended up happening. But like you guys said, AFC football, they know each other. This is a divisional game. It's not always about the players. It's more about the matchup and the style of fight, and they kind of just matched up perfectly. A game that wasn't very close, though. We're going to move on to Indianapolis Colts destroying the Dolphins. Hands up. Who saw this coming? Yeah, nobody. I didn't think so. Daniel Jones, I'm going to start this one off. Daniel Jones went crazy. I think that one's going to be easy. But I'm going to look at Miami side. Tua, 14 for 23, 114 passing yards. He did get 1 touchdown, which was a garbage touchdown towards the end, and then 2 interceptions. I think they're playing scared. If they're continuing to play this type of style throughout the year, they should just give up now. And when I say give up now, what does that mean? They do have an aging wide receiver that doesn't seem like he wants to be there. I'm going to assume that they're going to have to trade Tyreek Hill soon. What's the point of keeping him on the books? You have a game like this where he gets 4 receptions for 40 yards, but that's not the type of wide receiver he is. He's somebody that you should be able to scheme open easily. the Colts defense isn't an elite defense. They played very well. I will give them that, but they're not an elite defense. So for them to get shut down to 8 points, and again, coming off a garbage touchdown at the end, they were technically shut out the whole game. That's what really stood out to me. The Dolphins offense just looks terrible. Ryan, I'm gonna have you start this one. What is something that stood out to you during this game?
You know where I'm going with this. Come on.
Do it.
So here's the thing, right? So you of all people know, right, that I've always been a believer in Daniel Jones' capability. No matter what the stats say, no matter what the numbers say, I see with the naked eye his ability, and I've always felt that he's had upside. Obviously, it's Daniel Jones, right? 22 of 29, 75.9% completion rate. He finished with 272 total yards and a career high 197 yards in the first half. One passing touchdown, 2 rushing TDs. Like,
that's your boy.
And everybody called me crazy.
I was one of them.
So,
I will admit that. I was definitely one of them. We're gonna move on to the next one. Omar, can you tell me what is something that stood out to you during this game?
You guys have me laughing. Well, to piggyback off what you said, the Colts' physical defense, the 3 sacks and the 2 interceptions, and Daniel Jones, a passer rating of 115, I believe, or 113. Daniel Jones, clean slate that game. He looked smooth. Like I said, he had Joe Burrow numbers, literally. That's what Joe Burrow should be doing. And he looked like a Madden quarterback. He was looking wild out there. Like when you used to create a player and put everything 99, that's what Daniel Jones was looking like. He was just balling out there. Like, if you could say that, yeah, he was balling. Daniel Jones was balling.
For sure, bro. And then Flores, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
So I came on this show and I laughed at the Colts. I laughed for the decision. I said, what the hell is Steichen doing? But it's amazing what a few more seconds in a pocket will do to a quarterback. With adequate weapons, a solid running back, and I'm sorry, Ryan, because I know this is hurting you, but the intangibles were there. Danny Dimes for a reason, right? It's now next week though. They have the Broncos. That's a solid defense. So let's see if he's gonna look just as sharp, or was it just the Dolphins really do suck type of thing.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get some answers next week. Daniel Jones looking like Vanilla Vic out there. If he could do that against the Broncos defense, that's going to be impressive. At that point, then I'm willing to give him his flowers. But for this week 1, I'm gonna just have him on notice.
Daniel Marino. That's what Daniel Marino.
Oh man, Indiana Jones going crazy. So we're going to move on to this Jacksonville versus Carolina. So we had Jacksonville taking care of Panthers at home, 26-10. I'm going to start with Daniel for this one. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you?
So what stood out to me is I go to my TV and my local game is Miami, Buccaneers, Jaguars, nowhere to be found. So pretty much that was the sentiment throughout the whole state of Florida. Nobody cared about this game. Only the people from Jacksonville cared about this game. But the little bit that I did see, it looks like, Jacksonville, they do have toys to play with. They still have to put it all together. Travis Hunter being more of a wide receiver, that's his major, call it, and then his minor is going to be the defensive side of the ball. So it's obviously curiosity is going to kill me there. I'm going to check every single time to see how much he 50-50 splits that, if he does 50-50. So that should be fun going forward.
Yeah, I think he played only 6 defensive snaps this game. So let's see if that goes up, or if maybe it even goes down and they just put him full-time wide receiver. Ryan, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
So Travis Etienne, man, coming back to life. He had a bit of a down year, to say the least, last year. And this game, he blew up for a 71-yard run on 23 carries, 143 rushing yards. I mean, he had a game. He had himself a game. And it was good to see because a lot of people were kind of writing him off because of the year he had last year. So I think it was good to see, and that's really what stood out to me. He balled.
That's a good one. Omar, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
I'm a defense.
I think your mic went out. Double check that.
Jacksonville.
There we go. You good?
The Jaguars defense. I'm a defense type of guy.
Okay.
The defense was stingy in the sense that it did not allow more than 10 points. That's not something that you saw a lot of last year. And I feel like this year Jacksonville is going to have a consistent defense. Like Daniel said, there's a lot of toys to play with. But if they can continue to play like this, their defense, it's going to be a problem. They can make the playoffs if they continue to play that type of defense, that intense ball that they were playing.
So for me, it was the quarterback battle. Bryce Young finished last year on a hot streak. He was going crazy through the air, even getting about like 5 rushing touchdowns within the last 5 games. Very inconsistent this game. 18 for 35, had 2 interceptions. He did throw for a touchdown, but only 154 yards. The Jaguars defense wasn't considered a great defense coming out of the year. And for you to only get 154 yards against them, that's not something that you like to see, especially when they draft you another first-round wide receiver. This is the second year in a row that they did it. And you're not really seeing Bryce Young take that next step up. And then speaking of not taking that next step up, I think Trevor Lawrence didn't have that great of a game. 19 for 31 isn't bad, but there was a lot of throws that were very inconsistent and very inaccurate for me, especially having Brian Thomas Jr. have, I believe, 1 catch out of 7 targets. That was your number one who went crazy last year. But also when he went crazy, it was when Mac Jones was actually in that quarterback. So is there some type of issue between them right there where they're just not getting that chemistry going? He did look for Travis Hunter a good amount of times. He also got his targets in. But I've said it on the show before. I don't know who Trevor Lawrence is. He didn't really answer any questions for me in this week 1 matchup. They do come away with the win, though, so that is good for them. But I am looking to see if he could step it up. And same thing with Bryce Young. Bryce Young was a very good college quarterback. He was he was the number 1 overall. I mean, so to see him go 18 for 35 against the Jaguars defense, maybe the defense did step it up, or maybe Bryce Young is just not the one. Only time is going to tell.
I think losing Thielen, sorry to cut you off there, but I think losing Thielen there hurt big time. Because Thielen was his go-to kind of feel out the defense type of guy. Now it's all young guys, and they're all kind of just going with the flow of the game, which at times is just not a good way to help out your quarterback.
No, that's a good point. That was a good point. He does use Thielen a lot, or did use Thielen a lot as a safety blanket. But yeah, I guess not having that safety blanket did hurt him. So we're going to move on to this Patriots and Raiders game. Geno Smith. I'm going to start this one off. Geno Smith, 362 goddamn yards.
Hell yeah.
362 damn yards. I think this is one of those things where obviously he's a pretty good quarterback. He's a startable quarterback. But also a part of that is having a head coach that believes in you. And Pete Carroll looks at Geno Smith the way I look at my wife. Like, there's just something that he loves about this kid. And he so much to the point to where he brought him into Seattle, made him as a starter, retired, came back as a head coach, and made sure that he went back for Geno Smith. He spun the block for him. And he rewarded him with 362 yards and a win in Foxborough. So that's what stood out for me. Omar, what is something that stood out for you during this game, man?
I don't know how I can have a better take than how you look at your wife. Wow.
Hope she doesn't see that.
But all jokes aside, I would call what Geno did, I would call it rhythm passing. Everything was rhythm for him. It was rhythm, consistency. When I say rhythm, I mean consistency. It was just, he looked confident out there. He looked like he was enjoying what he was doing. Yeah. Confident throwing the ball. Everything was like in sync for him. And I like I said, for me, it was rhythm passing. That's what I'm gonna say that's what I saw a lot of in this game.
For sure. Ryan, what's something that stood out for you, bro?
Same. How could you not go with Geno Smith? I mean, you said it yourself, 362 passing yards in the air. He just diced them up. Brock Bowers with 5 receptions, 103 yards.
Yep.
Who had that on their bingo card? Nobody.
Nobody.
Come
Nobody.
on.
Yeah, that was insane. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you?
Gino is a bad man when he's in rhythm. I have to say he's a bad man. Honestly, on the New England side, I was curious to see if they were going to finally establish an identity, something that they didn't have last year. Then we know they go through a coaching change, and now it's, big bad Mike Vrabel. You think they're going to establish a defensive run game. I didn't see any of that. It kind of seemed like the same issues. They may have found their guy, but I think they're still going to have to work out a few kinks. So it looks like it's going to be a question mark moving forward with the Patriots.
Yeah, for sure. Travion Henderson only getting 5 rushing attempts really was a
Wild.
shocker for me. Yeah, that's the most explosive person on that offense and the easiest to get the ball to. And the fact that they didn't put the ball in his hands as much as they probably should have was kind of eye-opening for me. Maybe it's just a rookie thing where they're trying to kind of work him out throughout the season as the season goes on, but they got to give him the ball more. Mm-hmm. So we're going to move on to this next game. We got the Cardinals at New Orleans taking the win, 20-13. Ryan, I'm going to start with you for this one. What is something that stood out to you?
Marvin Harrison Jr., I think. So he had 5 receptions for 71 yards with a touchdown. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is in for a really good second year, regardless of Kyler Murray being his quarterback. So I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited to watch him play football for the rest of the year. I think he's going to have a really big year. And yeah, I mean, he looked good out there.
Daniel, what's something that stood out to you?
The connection, between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. It wasn't as smooth. It wasn't as fantasy related, what you wanted it to be last year, where everybody thought it was going to be. It looks like this year is going to be trending that way. This game as a whole, it was just who outlasted who, because it wasn't that pretty. It wasn't that sexy to watch. But other than that, it's just, let's see what Marvin can do along with Kyler, and let's see what the Cardinals can do. Maybe win 3 games.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype behind Marvin Harrison Jr. for rightfully so, but yeah, let's see what they do with him and Kyler Murray. Omar, what is something that stood out to you during this game?
It's like Daniel said, this game was like when you look at a girl and she was, she doesn't turn around. She looks nice hair, whatever. What if she turns around and it's like, whoa. What is that? So I would say what really stood out to me was, and what I mean by that is the Saints. The Saints played horrible. Like, the Saints beat themselves. What, 13 penalties?
Oof.
Ouch.
13 penalties. How do you expect to win a game, such a horrible and ugly game, with 13 penalties? You shot yourself in the foot. You did that to yourself. You had to lose that game because you need to be better on protecting yourself from penalties. Like, penalties will lose you the game. That's free yards for the other team. Literally free yards. You're giving them free yards. So, like I said, the Saints beat themselves. That's
a great point. I'm a piggyback off that. I'm gonna focus on the Saints as well. Getting 13 penalties is terrible, but also when you have a bad team on top of that, where you can't fight out of those penalties and kind of redeem yourself. I mean, Spencer Rattler going 27 for 46. The thing that stood out to me the most is the Saints don't got a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. They have a bunch of quarterbacks in that room, but none of them are the answer. It's going to be a long year for the Saints. He did throw for 214 yards, but it took 46 attempts to even get that far. Chris Olave looked pretty healthy. That was something that could be optimistic for Saints fans. But I did notice also that Spencer Rattler likes to lean on his tight ends a lot. Juwan Johnson, 8 receptions, 76 yards. I believe he had 11 targets on top of that. That's kind of his safety blanket. If he can open up more and take more deep shots, maybe with Chris Olave, then he also has another wide receiver, speedy wide receiver that is losing my mind right now. But there's there's kind of a recipe there with Alvin Kamara as well to get some points on that offense to be explosive, but they don't have anyone that's going to be able to give them the ball in order to get them in the position to do that. So that's the thing that stood out for me the most. They don't have a quarterback. Speaking of not having a quarterback, we have the Broncos and the Titans, the number one overall quarterback. I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to focus on Cam Ward here. There was a lot of drops on the Titans side. A lot of drops. With that being said, Cam Ward also doesn't make it easier for them to catch the ball when he's throwing that ball 1,000 miles per hour every single time. And that's what stood out the most to me. He has to learn to throw with some finesse in some of these. You have to drop it in the bucket every once in a while. Everything is just a sling sidearm fastball, four seam. And he has to ease back a little bit. It's not like he has world-class wide receivers to begin with. Calvin Ridley's toward the end of his career. I don't even know who's behind him at that point, like what other receivers they have. So I did see a lot of good things from Cam Ward where he was able to fit it in certain pockets and get into certain windows, but he has to learn how to not just throw a bullet every single time. There has to be some type of switch up. For me, that was the thing that stood out the most. Daniel, what's something that stood out for you during this game?
Broncos defense as good as advertised. 6 sacks on the rookie. Held him to 12 points. But with that said, Cam Ward did have an opportunity to tie up this game. And yeah, even you can see his dad just frustrated at that drop by Ridley. But but the Broncos defense, I have a feeling there'll be top 2, top 3, most likely.
For sure. And then Ryan, what was something that stood out to you during this game?
Yeah, so I'm gonna ease off on the rookie a little bit, just because, like Daniel said, that Broncos defense is disgusting. They held Tennessee to just 133 total yards, 62 yards in the second half. Like Daniel said, they had 7 sacks, but they also had 7 tackles for a loss and 12 QB hits. They pressured Cam Ward on 40% of his dropbacks. Like they were sending the house. Yeah. So I'm gonna ease up on Cam Ward because that's not an easy task.
That is a tough task. Omar, what was something that stood out for you?
Again, the defense, and I feel like the Titans never found their rhythm. Like they got shaken up by that good defense by the Broncos. They never were able to recover. They were just I think they were just scared, shocked, whatever you want to call it. They just never found it. There's either they never found it or the Broncos never allowed them to find it, because that's how good that defense is. For sure.
Daniel, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say that Daniel Jones better be watching this film because it's coming.
We're gonna see.
I'm rooting for the Colts this weekend. Let's go.
Oh man. And then give me one. I have the 49ers versus the Seahawks as my next game, but for some reason my score is saying 13-13. Can someone double check that score for me? I know that's definitely not right.
17-13.
17-13. So I'm gonna switch that up real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this one off. What stood out to me was Christian McCaffrey, CMC, coming into week 1, questionable, missing practice, limited practice. What's going on with his calf? What's going on with his hamstrings? What's going on with all his tendons? Nobody knows. But once that game starts, he gets the most touches out of any running back in week 1 of all the teams. He ends up with 10 targets. He ends up with 22 rush attempts. The bad thing is the 49ers looks like they can't stay healthy. They have a lot of health concerns going on with that team. And also that offensive line was also a little shaky. It's been getting shaky over the years. So with Brock Purdy dealing with injuries, Juwan Johnson dealing with injuries, George Kittle being put on IR, which we'll speak about later, is it smart to keep overworking CMC, or is it something that they're going to have to dial back on? I could see it going either way, where they're going to have to lean on him to even have a chance to win. But then also they know that if they get him hurt, they have no chance of winning after that. So I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to kind of balance that out. Omar, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Yeah, it's like a hospital. San Francisco's looking like a big old hospital. Stay healthy. But that applies to any team. Like San Francisco looks like a hospital. Like
General Hospital, yeah.
like a senior citizen home. Like, hey, come on, we got the prune juice and everything waiting for you. You have to stay healthy. And as a coach, it's not management, it's the coach. The coach has to make the choices whether to protect his players' careers or push the playoffs and just lose them entirely. That's a choice that the coach has to make. Me personally, I would sit them down. My star players' health is more important than me pushing him and potentially ending his career just to make a playoff run. No, that's things that the coaches have to decide. That's my opinion. So healthy is the key word for San Francisco this year.
For sure. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
Well, San Fran did lose a couple of key pieces on defense. Also, that offensive line looks just to piggyback off what you said, looks very, very shaky. But Brock Purdy in his own is a very different quarterback when Christian McCaffrey's on as opposed when he is not in the game. Yes, Brock Purdy delivered the game-winning touchdown drive, but I don't know, man. San Fran might be on his last legs. A lot of continuous injuries, soft tissue injuries that just continue to pop up and just derail this team that probably should have won a couple Super Bowls, but Patrick Mahomes does tend to happen.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So is Macho's fantasy team on his last leg. It's all riding on CMC. But for me, it's Ricky Pearsall.
It's making me sick, bro. It's making me sick all this Mahomes talking. You know who doesn't approve of Mahomes? She doesn't like him either.
So,
Ryan, what's something that stood out to you?
Ricky Pearsall.
One of your guys.
4 receptions. That's right. Got him in the 9th round. My fantasy team. 4 receptions, 108 yards. He had a huge 45-yard play that keyed in that final drive. And like I said before the season started, coming into the year, I think he's going to end up being wide receiver 1, and he could alleviate some of the offensive load from CMC and George Kittle for when he comes back.
Yeah. You were definitely high on him in the offseason, as I was as well, but you just happened to get him in the free draft. You know what I'm saying?
I drafted better. It's all good.
I scored the most points in one of the league last year, but it's cool. So we're going to move on to the Packers and the Lions. The Packers taking care of the Lions at home. I'm going to start this one off. Jordan Love, I spoke about this with Daniel in a previous episode where Jordan Love, I'm not sold on him. I'm still kind of not sold on him, but he did have a great game, 16 for 22, only 188 yards, but he got his 2 touchdowns. For me, that defense looked stingy out there. Going against a Lions offense, a stacked Lions offense at that, and being able to hold Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to the amount of rushing yards that they were, even Jahmyr Gibbs getting 10 receptions and only 31 yards out of all 10 of them, that's the most explosive player on their offense. So to be able to contain both of them, both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that Packers defense, man, is going to keep them into a lot of games. If Jordan Love is who the Packers Jordan Loves think they are, did that make sense? If Jordan Love is who the Packers think Jordan Loves is, then they could potentially go and make a run. I'm still not sold on it. It's only week 1. The Lions did end up losing both their coordinators. This is one of the things that I was worried about coming into the season. It's going to show in the beginning of the season. Now, if they can work it out towards the middle to the end, we're going to have to wait to see. But that Lions team, man, without their coordinators, look like a whole different team out there. And then that Packers defense just flying all over the damn field. Ryan, what's something that stood out to you during this game, man?
I mean, you kind of said it. That Lions rushing attack was ineffective. They combined for only 46 yards on 20 carries. That is, I think that might be historic. Someone fact check me on that, but I think that might be historic. So they combined for only 46 yards on just 20 carries. So if I'm not mistaken, that might be a record. Look that up. But yeah, their rushing attack was just ineffective. It was kind of bizarre to see. I know they switched coordinators. Ben Johnson's in Chicago now, but that was
tough to
that's
watch.
pretty crazy. Yeah,
That was tough to watch. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
So this is when Lions fans can appreciate that it's a long season because they have a lot to figure out. Again, to rehash, losing offensive coordinator, losing defensive coordinator after being the juggernaut that they were last year, you can definitely tell they're having some issues. Now, on the Packers side of things, that defense is pretty good. I also still have my question marks on Jordan Love, but on the flip side, it is a long season. I'm not going to claim them Super Bowl champions after week 1. So we shall see.
Yeah, for sure. And then Omar, before I kick it to you, I do want to say thank you for even coming up while being sick. I know you're going through it right now, but you killing it right now. You killing it right now.
literally.
I just want to apologize to all three of you guys because I don't feel good, and every moment I'm sneezing. Thank God for the mute button and it just the wiping. I look like I've been long in the hospital with the 49ers.
Yeah. You're in the 49ers locker room. But nah, you holding together pretty well, man. What's something that stood out to you during this game?
The Packers' dominant defense and Parsons' debut, it was loud. Like you could tell that in the middle of the season, he's just going to turn it up another notch, as he always does. I feel like he fits in well with that Packers defense. Yes, it's week 1, but if they can get it together and maintain some type of consistency, I think they're going to be a top 5 defense, and it's going to allow them to go deep into the playoffs. If that's a scary defense, very scary defense. I'd say the Broncos and them are like really scary to face every week.
Yeah, and like you said, Micah Parsons not even at 100% right now. So once he ramps up, let's see if they could kick into another gear. They do like to rely on the running game as well. Josh Jacobs, of course, is very reliable as a running back. So if they're able to rely on their defense and running game, let's see what the Packers could do, man. We're going to move on to this Rams versus the Texans. The Rams taking care of the Texans at home. I'm going to go with Omar for this one. Can you start this one off with something that stood out to you during this game?
Let's go with Stafford's milestone of 60,000 passing yards. Let's start off with that. That's like that highlight. And the defense. The defense, again, like I'm a defense guy. Like I love good defense. And I feel like this year we're privy to watching great teams show out their defenses. The Broncos, the Packers, the Rams. Like we're watching great defense. I feel like there's an old school type of football vibe now. But again, what stands out to me is the 60,000 passing yards by Matthew Stafford.
I love that. Name of the title is going to be Omar Loves D. So Ryan, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
That Russian attack. Kyron Williams, 121 yards, 26 carries, 4.7 yards per carry. He went off, and he is the reason the Rams won that game.
I'm not mad at that. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you?
Not so long ago, the Rams had the Eagles on the brink. They were just there. True. That defense is legit. Matthew Stafford is Matthew Stafford and will continue being Matthew Stafford until he literally falls apart. Houston, they're still going to be a good, solid team. CJ Stroud showed some good things. Thank goodness Nico Collins is back. But I'm curious to see how the Texans look like this year as well.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with mine. The Texans' offensive line losing Laramie Tunsil. They didn't look that good, and then having to try to protect CJ Stroud, who was able to get a couple of scrambles in there, but he's not really known to be a mobile quarterback. So you kind of have to give him the time in the pocket. Nico Collins only getting 3 receptions for 25 yards is the thing that really stands out to me the most. I think he's a very dominant wide receiver. One, he's somebody that can get open. He knows he's a very good route runner, great hands. The fact that you're not able to get him the ball more is something that's very glaring to me. If that's not something that they could figure out during the year, they're going to have some problems. They do have a really great defense, but you still need to score points. That's the name of the game. If you don't score points, you can't win. And Nico's their best chance of scoring points on that offense, in my opinion. So that's what's going to stand out to me. We are going to go into that Monday game, Bears and Vikings. So I'm going to start this one off. I definitely had a parlay going with Ryan on this game. Didn't end up hitting, and that's going to be the thing that stands out to me the most. Was one of the legs that didn't hit was Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson not getting the ball as we're acclimated to. JJ McCarthy definitely struggled in that first half. They were able to hit that switch, and where it looked like Caleb Williams was kind of getting away with anything that he wanted to do. That defense turned that switch on, and they were able to get the stops, and the Bears weren't able to do anything on offense. But Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions, 44 yards, he did end up scoring. But that the Bears were missing both of their star cornerbacks, and they still couldn't find a way to get Justin Jefferson the ball. I think if they gave him the ball more in the game, they wouldn't be as close as it was. But they were able to find a way to sneak it out. But for me, that Justin Jefferson only getting the ball 4 times for 44 yards, that's going to have to be something that they figure out. They have to give him the ball. Daniel, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
So I actually watched this game for whatever reason, because those first 3 quarters, they were bad. Outside of that first drive by Caleb Williams, where you're like, oh, wow, he's actually putting it together. He's scrambling outside the pocket and doing his thing. And then JJ McCarthy was just having a tough time, rookie mistakes. That defensive scheme that the Bears had for JJ McCarthy, I can see why he was having a hard time, but eventually he figured it out. And then the thing that we talk about Caleb Williams is his leadership and probably his demeanor. He started off the game great, then kind of fell off a cliff. Can't really motivate his teammates. You would say his leadership is not as highly regarded. JJ McCarthy on the other side, though, found a way, he just threw a pick 6. And even after that, he was, talking with his teammates, figuring it out, and then managed to score, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to just come back and beat the Bears. I think McCarthy and Jefferson and the Vikings will be okay moving forward. A lot of question marks still with Caleb Williams' leadership as far as that goes.
I agree. Omar, what's something that stood out to you during this game?
McCarthy's horrible performance in the first 3 quarters. See, they'll be okay, but the thing is with me and the playoffs, all of this matters. Because if you play shitty in the first 3 quarters, it's not going to matter because you're not going to win. The playoffs is a different beast.
Yeah.
Teams thrive off of other teams' mistakes. And if you can't get it together within the first 3 quarters, the game will be over by the time the fourth quarter starts. So that was what stood out to me, his horrible play in the first 3 quarters.
And then, Ryan, what's something that stood out to you?
Jordan Mason. Not a crazy game, but 15 rushes for 68 yards. I'm really intrigued to see at what point in the season he takes Aaron Jones' spot, because I think he will. That's why I drafted him in my fantasy league. I think at some point in the season, I'm investing on the back end of the year. All right. So I think at some point this year, Jordan Mason is going to fully take over. I think Aaron Jones did look a little wash out there at certain points, but I mean, Jordan Mason had a couple explosive plays that really kind of kept the Vikings in it on certain drives, and he looked good out there. So
I like that shout, because when the Vikings were kind of struggling to move the ball, every time they gave Jordan Mason the ball, they were getting those 4 or 5 yards almost guaranteed every time. So that's a good shout out. Aaron Jones can still catch the ball for sure, but his running game, I don't know if he can't find the hole. I don't know what's going on there, where maybe he's just no pause. No, he can't find it. He can't find it. He's struggling. but maybe that just comes with the old age. But he did have that very nice touchdown catch. I will give him that. So shout out to him for finding a way to get to that score, which was a big score that ended up really helping them a lot. But Jordan Mason may end up being that running back 1 as the season goes on. There were 3 games that we did skip. and that is the games that we are fans of. So we're gonna go a little more in depth when it comes to these teams. I'm gonna start with Flores here when it comes to this Jets and Steelers game, the heartbreaking game for me throughout this whole week one. But I'll let you take your victory lap, bro.
Honestly, yes, we won, but we should have lost. all the way, yeah, all the way through. In the battle of the trenches, we were getting just destroyed. Offensive line looked terrible. Specifically, one person, that is Broderick Jones. He is one of the guys in a previous episode that I was looking at in the preseason, and of course, in the preseason, he looked amazing, which I'm sure Ryan would allude to here when they talk about the Giants. but in the preseason, he looked amazing. This dude just unplayable. I don't know what it is, but he allowed 3 sacks, 4 pressures. It's just he is protecting, Aaron Rodgers, which obviously he doesn't move the same. Now, I do have to say that Jets defensive line is very, very solid, but I think I could have gone out there and probably gotten to Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure. This dude is just absolutely unplayable. The defense for me on the Steelers side was a massive, massive disappointment. I'm so used to, good D. No, pause.
That's
Coming
Omar's
from
favorite.
the Steelers side. Yeah. Coming from the Steelers side. But this was actually Aaron Rodgers' time to shine. I would say it was his moment, and he delivered, especially on that last drive to get us in field goal range. So Chris Boswell can hit his 60-yarder and then just call it game. Go ahead, but I do have a little nugget on Boswell. Yeah.
So to piggyback off of Broderick Jones, to be fair, he was going against an elite D line where we had Jermaine Johnson coming back. Obviously, we had Quentin Williams in there, as you can see in the picture, trying to get to him. But Aaron Rodgers, he played well. He played efficient. He played smart. It was something that I'm not used to seeing from the Steelers offense, also getting creative. They have multiple tight ends that they also kind of – they had Jonnu Smith going for a Russian touchdown, I believe that was, or like a little quick handoff, kind of looking like Kansas City Chiefs there.
Yeah, they called it a pass, but
they called it a pass, right?
Really a rushing, yeah.
Right. But even the fact that they're doing stuff like that and getting creative with their playbook, it's going to be an issue for other teams going against the Steelers now. But I do love what I saw from the Jets up until the last probably 5 to 6 minutes, starting with the fumble and special teams. Xavier Gibson absolutely has to go. I'm done with him. He did give us that miracle win against the Bills about a year ago or 2 years ago. He has to get out of here, man. That absolutely killed the momentum. That absolutely killed our chances. The Steelers end up scoring twice, and then Boswell hitting a career high 60-yarder for him right through the outright. And it looked like it could have went further too. He could have probably hit it from 64, 65. It still has some space in it. But I am very happy with the things that I saw on the Jets offense. Justin Fields did look very competent. The offensive playbook looked like they actually had some life in it, where it's not just very predictable like it has been in the past couple of years and very basic. They can do a lot of creative things with this roster. I'm hoping to see that they can build on this, even though it is a loss. I don't want to say it's a moral victory. We don't believe in that in the NFL, but it was something to where I'm not going to hang my head low and think that this is going to be a bad season. I know that this is a season where we're not going to make the playoffs, but I want to see the progression throughout the season, and starting off like this in the week one definitely gave me optimism for the rest of the year. Dude, if Ryan or Omar, if you had anything that you wanted to say about this game.
So I expected a sloppy, low-scoring game. So I was just honestly impressed with both offenses. Justin Fields, I mean, we talked about it, right? Like, if the Jets are smart, they're going to roll him out the pocket. And they did. They did just that, and he was making the right decision. So I was really impressed with the way both teams played offense. Like,
Yeah.
really, with
Yeah.
one side having the aging quarterback and then the other having Justin Fields bum ass. So
And then Omar, did you have anything that you want to say about this game?
I feel like the game was exciting, and everybody knew that the game was going to be exciting. Offensively, I thought it was going to be a little bit more, but it was good. It was up to par. Just the defense. I thought that the defense were going to be a little bit better on both sides of the ball.
Amen.
Both of the teams, I thought were going to be
Yeah.
playing good defense. But at the end of the day, it was a good game. I think it was a learning experience. So there's still a learning curve for the Jets, and it's just an adjustment period. It's only week one. All the teams are getting into the consistency of things, and I think that the Jets and both Jets and Steelers are going to have good games. It's not going to be their last good game. They're going to have several good games.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces on both sides of these franchises. Daniel, what's that nugget that you got?
So before I throw that out there, I want to say the Jets do finally have something to kind of look forward to as far as an identity. They look mean, they look aggressive. Their defense is serious, and now it's looking like it's well coached. Now it's just a matter of figuring it out. Honestly, the fumble killed all momentum. I was very, very much expecting to come on here and just talk about, hey, this is Mike Tomlin football the last couple years, to where we get out coached by whoever it is. Yes, Mike Tomlin might be the greatest in some people's eyes. I am in the camp to where mediocrity has been the standard, and the standard will continue being the standard. But we shall see going forward. But the nugget on Chris Boswell, we actually acquired Boswell from the Giants on October 3rd, 2015. And since then, he has never missed a field goal in the playoffs, and he has hit, see if I can find it right here, 11 career game-winning field goals, and he has he's made over 40 yards field goals since 2021, 58 total, more than Justin Tucker. So Boswell has been that dude. He's been a killer bee, the last remaining killer bee, for a very, very long time. So as we were talking throughout the game, Torres, I told you if it ends up with Boswell, 60 yards seems looming, but at the very, Boswell is that guy. So I was very confident in pulling that out. And I was very much expecting to take the L after that defensive just couldn't get off their blocks and running all over us, literally.
So he's been killing it since leaving the Giants.
Yes.
Seems to be the theme of the pod. Good D and leave the Giants, apparently. Yeah.
Also, what killed me, to set up that kick, there was a missed catch by DK Metcalf that got tipped off his hands into one of your other receivers' hands back onto DK while he was on the floor. And that set up the kick. Once that happened, I kind of just lost hope. It was like it meant to be at that point.
Yeah, that kind of, I told my wife, I'm like, this is probably one of those moments where Jets fans go, of course.
Yeah.
It's and then I go, of course we're going to win a low scoring, or not a low scoring, but we're going to win by 2 points, because that's how it's been the last freaking 5 years.
Got to thug it out. But It was a very close game. It was a very competitive game. Moving on to the next game that wasn't very close or competitive, we got the Giants and the Commanders. The Commanders winning 21-6. I'm going to kick it off to Ryan here so you could go in depth on this game. What was some stuff that you noticed?
So, first off, this score should have been a lot worse. We should have lost by 30. I mean, the Commanders had 12 penalties, 7 in the first half. Not to mention a lot getting bailed out by those penalties, may I add. And then a bunch of just big drops. It seemed like the Commanders were just off cue a little bit on the offensive side of the football. But, I mean, with the Giants, it's the same old story. I mean, we need 9 yards on a 3rd and 9. Let's throw it to Wanda Robinson for a yard. I mean, and when are we going to see this offensive mind that everybody talks about with Brian Daboll? It's like And we were talking about it earlier. I mean, Xavier McKinney leaves the Giants. He becomes the best safety in the NFL that year. Saquon Barkley leaves the Giants. He has a historic rushing yard season, raises the Lombardi Trophy. Daniel Jones now in week 1 looks like the second coming of Andrew Luck. I mean, what's next? Like, what's next? So, and my thing is like on the defensive side of the football, what? So we drafted Abdul Carter, 3rd overall, to play him 25 of 73 snaps, if I'm not mistaken.
Why is that? I need to
Why?
ask you that. Why?
I want to ask you that. I want to
Yeah.
ask anybody who has that answer
Doesn't
that,
make sense.
because it makes no sense at all. I don't understand what the scheme is on either side of the football. On the defensive side, we're not using guys the way we should be. We drafted Abdul Carter to be a game wrecker. Why is he playing 25 snaps? He had a block punt. He almost had 2. Why is he only playing? On top of that, 25 out of I would probably guess that 5 or 6 out of those 25 snaps he was dropping back in coverage. What did you draft him 3 for?
Yeah. And he's
What are we
versatile
doing?
too. So you can move him on the line. You can move him as a linebacker. Like, you can find ways to get him involved. 25 snaps is insane.
I don't understand it. And then Cam Scatterbo comes in, phenomenal, throws a monster block. He doesn't get rewarded. Give him the football. What did we draft Cam Scatterbo for? He comes in the game, has a monster block. The possession after that, he breaks 2 disgusting. Oh my God. He breaks 2 tackles. I
He's a baller.
don't understand. I don't understand. We don't have, it's the same old story. We don't have an offensive identity once again. And I could sit here and talk about the departures of everybody I just listed and then some, and the success that they're having where they are. But where's the improvement within the Giants organization? Last year, we just had the worst season in franchise history. Brian Daboll has been here since 2022. Since then, Josh Allen's looking like he hasn't lost a step, right? This supposed quarterback whisperer that we all talked about, right? Drives Daniel Jones out of the building, plays him at safety, humiliates the guy. And then in week 1, Daniel Jones is throwing for a career high first half, 197 yards in week 1, 272 in the air on your dome piece.
2
Everybody
rushing
called me
touchdowns.
crazy. 2 rushing touchdowns. Everybody called me crazy. Come
Yeah.
on, man. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
I could definitely understand the frustration, because I feel like you also had pretty good drafts too. Like, you picking the right players. Abdul Carter was the right choice at number 3. Jackson Dart in the preseason looked like he can be the answer. Cam Scatterbo is a baller, but you got to put the pieces together. You got certain ingredients that you use them for 25 snaps. It's like you're getting the ingredient just to have it. You're not even going to use it. It makes no sense at that point, especially in a blowout like this. Like, what do you have to lose to have him play more snaps? What would be the downside to that? But I'm gonna open it up to Omar and Daniel. Is there anything that you guys want to say about this game specifically?
I just have to say with the Giants, there's the offensive line leaks. Like, you could tell if your O line doesn't give your quarterback the necessary protection and timing. Like Daniel said a couple of takes ago, 3 or 4 seconds can make a difference in how your quarterback looks in winning the game or not. It's that the Giants, it starts with the top.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that last year the Giants, like ownership, coaches, the fans were calling for a whole cleanup. And you can have, like, we all played the games before. You can have star players. But if the coaching and the system is not in place, that the players believe in it, and it's not something that it goes with the players, you're not going to have a successful season. It doesn't matter how many star players you have in the job. And I think the problem is the coach, like Ryan said. You're supposed to have schemes to set up your star players to succeed. These schemes obviously are not working. The defensive schemes are not working. You have the draft picks in place to make this happen. Like, Abdul Carter is a beast. He's a beast. He was supposed to be like the steal of the draft. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't think the Giants set up their players for success at all. And again, it starts with the coach. The schemes are horrible. They're trash.
Abdul Carter is supposed to be generational.
Yeah.
Not
Steal of the
like
draft, right? The steal of the
like
draft.
no, not even a steal. Like generational. Like the best player in the draft is what he's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Why am I watching him on 25 of 73 snaps? Why? Why am I watching him drop back? Did we not draft a guy to cause and wreak havoc?
And you're going against Jaden Daniels, who's you would need someone like Abdul Carter on the field going against a
Yep.
dude like this. That's crazy.
I have
Daniel,
a question for Ron. I'm sorry. I have a question for Ryan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Daniel. Ryan,
No, you're
explain
good.
to me that play in which Abdul Carter is like tap dancing to get to the quarterback. What happened there?
I don't know
what
what
happened?
I don't know what play you're talking about exactly, but
There was a
um
moment in time that it's like he hesitated or he thought about it. It was near the red zone, and he didn't sack him. He just like slowed down, and then the quarterback just threw the ball, and he had ample time to like sack him.
well, I don't know what play you're talking about exactly, but I will say he's not trying to tackle just any quarterback in the NFL. He's trying to tackle and rush like just about probably the most slippery quarterback in the entire league outside of Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, yeah.
So like but I could sit down and show you that I could show you 5 or 6 plays out of his 25 snaps where he hurries the quarterback and wins his matchup, which ultimately brings me back to my frustration. Why is he only playing 25 snaps?
That's not even half the snaps. That's not even half. Not even half of the snaps. Yeah, I understand your frustration. Why draft him? You're just going to use him as a bench player.
Let's
Treating
get
him like a
Daniel.
bench player.
Daniel,
So-
what you got?
So Ryan, as a Giants fan, right? I know you guys have Russell Wilson, and he's supposed to be this bridge quarterback for Dart. But do you trust the ongoing leadership? And I probably know the answer to this, and that offensive line to throw out Dart out there this season, or just kind of just get through this season, probably get new leadership in the building, and then just start next year with Dart?
That's a good question.
I don't know if this answers your question, but on one of my videos, on one of my earlier posts before the season, I talk about what a successful season for the Giants would look like. See, a lot of people are under the misconception that Russell Wilson was brought in to be that bridge quarterback, to come in and mentor Jackson Dart. We signed Russell Wilson before we drafted Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson was brought into the building to win football games, right? So to me, a successful season would be having Russell Wilson finish off as much, if not the entire season. Because if he does that, that means we're playing competitive football, right? Now, I do like the Jackson Dart pick. That is who I wanted. If we were going to take a quarterback, that is exactly who I wanted in the draft. I think Jackson Dart is very talented. I think he has a lot of skill. He could throw the ball just about anywhere. He can rush. He's a dog. But as far as this regime, who do you blame when the proof is in the pudding? Everybody that walks out that door has success. Who do you blame?
Yeah.
It starts at the top.
It does. The 25 snaps is disgusting. Disgusting for number 3 overall pick to who you need to get snaps. And I mean, you have players that could get pressure on the ball. I mean, you have Dexter Lawrence, you have Brian Burns, you have Kayvon Thibodeau, and you have some amazing pass rushers and just players on that defense. But adding another one isn't going to hurt you. Why would you take him off the field?
Oh, and might I add, too, it's only a matter of time before we drive Malik Neighbors out the door. I'm telling you right now. Jaden Daniels is his boy. Yeah. It's only a matter of time with the success that the Washington Commanders had last year. I told myself in the middle of the year, oh, yeah, Malik Neighbors wants to go to Washington.
That would hurt.
That would hurt, man.
That would hurt.
I wouldn't be surprised. If
don't even put that in the ethos. Like, don't even try to speak that to existence. Because if that happens, as a Jets fan, I would feel bad for you. Like that would suck. That would absolutely suck. But Let's move on to the most explosive game, honestly, of the week: the Bills and the Ravens. Omar, you are the Bills fan on this pod here, so I'm gonna kick it off to you. What were some things that you saw about this game?
I brought a couple of things down. So a couple of points. 16 points in the final 4 minutes.
Yeah.
One of his craziest rallies so far. Okay. Yeah. Everybody thought that this team was done. Even the fans left the building.
Yeah.
They didn't expect that win.
Yep.
So start with that. The sequence. Fast touchdown, a quick stop on defense, another touchdown, a 2-point conversion. That sequence was, again, Madden 26 type of sequence. Unbelievable. On the Baltimore side, the game management. What was going on? Like the game management I don't get it. And I thought that the defense was gonna stop the Bills because it looked like they were gonna stop them at one point, and then momentum switched. And like I said earlier, like momentum, that's all it takes for momentum to switch, for you to give that team the confidence boost that they need to think that they can come back and win. Because in some games you watch teams and they're sloppy, they've given up. But in this game, I felt like Josh Allen was like trying to win the whole, like he was trying to come back. Like he felt it. He felt it. And I think this was a heavyweight battle between two teams that can potentially see each other in the AFC Championship, I think. So this was a preview of what we might see down the line on the road to the Super Bowl. I think it was a very exciting game, and I think this year the Bills have the potential to go to the Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen is hungry, and I think he's tired of almost being there, almost going to the Super Bowl. As an athlete, you don't want to hear almost. You want to get there. And I think Josh Allen, he's tired of it. He wants to go to the Super Bowl. He wants to. I think this is the year of the Bills going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, Omar, out of these two teams, who do you think has the better roster?
I would say the Ravens. The Ravens have the better roster.
Me too.
The Ravens have the better roster, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's different. You know what I mean? It's different. Mentality is different. Hype is different. Whoever gets hot at the end of the year is what matters. So right now on paper, the Ravens, everybody knows the Ravens roster looks way better than the Bills roster. But it's just like, it's all about mentality. Like Josh Allen's mentality, I feel like it's different, especially with this. This could be the one game that could make the Bills go 14-2. Just say, you never know. You know what I mean? This is all it takes for you to get into that mindset, that mentality.
So
sorry to cut you off. It's just as a Steelers fan, the collapse that I saw from the Ravens is similar to what I always see from the Ravens. And I know the Ravens are stacked. I know Lamar Jackson is that dude. And I've said before, from afar, I wish he was on my team. But the Ravens do tend to collapse. It's a ongoing thing within that building for whatever reason. I enjoy it as a Steelers fan, but it's double-digit leads that they lose, and they lose them consistently at least once, twice, 3 times a year, and sometimes in the playoffs.
So in a previous episode that I did with Daniel, we mentioned both of these quarterbacks as quarterbacks that have to make a Super Bowl. When you ask who has the better roster, I would also add in there the Chiefs, and I feel like the Bills and the Ravens had better rosters than the Chiefs the past couple of years, including this year right now as well, especially with the injuries going on that they have over there in Kansas City. But when it comes to the playoffs, they can't find a way to get it done against Kansas City for whatever reason. And if they don't do it again this year, like what do we really think about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson?
I can answer that. I think sometimes we just got to keep it simple and just call it what it is. I think Josh Allen is to Lamar Jackson what Patrick Mahomes is to Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just really comes down to it. Like Lamar, it feels like Lamar just cannot win against Josh Allen.
I did notice that when they're trying to put the game away, they were taking it out of Lamar's hands a lot. There's a lot of rushing with Derrick Henry, or a lot of quick passes to Zay Flowers as soon as they snapped the ball. It's like they almost didn't trust him or something.
I mean, like Daniel said, yeah, like or the Ravens seem to crumble in a lot of these big games. I mean, the last year in the playoffs, they had a chance to ice it with Mark Andrews. We all know what happened then. But again, I think it really just is Josh Allen is to Lamar Jackson what Patrick Mahomes is to Josh Allen.
He may be.
I remember the AFC was loaded with a bunch of good quarterbacks, but there was always that one dude, Tom Brady. We all know him. We all hate him. And now we've all come to respect him.
Yep.
Probably still hate him a little bit. But that's what Patrick that's what Patrick Mahomes is to a lot of these quarterbacks.
Yeah. I'm like you, Daniel. Like I dislike Tom Brady, but from a distance, I would have loved to have Tom Brady.
Of course.
Because Tom Brady was the type of quarterback that he made the system work. You know what I mean? So he was going to get you your W. So from a distance, I wanted him. Then when close up, I'm like, man, F this guy.
I think we've been shitting on the Giants a lot lately, so I'm just going to give them their flowers for really saving us twice.
Yep.
And Eli Manning does get postcards and presents from Brady for Father's Day, just,
For sure.
Absolutely.
Those were the only times where I think, couldn't collectively say we were Giants fans.
I feel better.
For sure.
I feel better. Just like that, I feel better.
Just bring up Eli and the smile comes to his face.
Absolutely. Patriots, Eagles, Cowboys. I'll root for the Jets and Steelers before I do Eagles and Cowboys.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna end this segment with fuck Tom Brady. So we are going to move on to some injury updates real quick. I'm gonna kind of fly through these as quick as possible. If you have something that y'all want to add to it, Xavier Worthy dislocated. They're saying he's day to day right now, but I think that's just because they're waiting for more tests. He's going to miss some time, 100%. How much time he misses is up in the air. I'm assuming around 2 to 4 weeks. It's going to take some time to heal. And then even when he does come back, he's going to be at risk of re-injuring that shoulder. So they got to be careful with him. Brock Bowers did tweak his knee. He looked like he was good to go, though, that he should be expected to play. He was running routes on the sidelines and stuff like that. He looked like he still has some of his movement. They're probably just going to have to give him a shot or something before week 2 to bring him back in, but he should be good to go. Drake London's also someone that got an AC sprain, but should be good to go by week 2 as well, but they are considering him day to day. Somebody like Jawan Jennings, who is a part of that 49ers General Hospital, he looks like he's expected to play. He has a shoulder injury. George Kittle, also a part of that hospital, is not expected to play. They actually placed him on IR, so he's going to be out missing about at least 4 weeks minimum, but it could be more than that. And that's tough for a team that doesn't really have that many weapons. They lost Debo. Brandon Ayuk is still on IR. They're wearing thin right there. Brock Purdy, the person that has to throw them the ball, also dealing with his own injuries and looking like he might miss week 2 with his shoulder and his toe injury. So just bad news for 49ers all around. Moving on to the Giants, there was a big injury with Micah McFadden, who is looking to miss most of the season. At first, they were saying that he might miss the whole season, but now there has been a little optimism that he may be able to come back towards the back end of it, but he did suffer a very bad foot injury, had to get carted off the field. And then Will Shipley got some fractured ribs, missing 6 to 8 weeks, who was the primary backup to Saquon Barkley, which then ended up in this move here with the Jaguars trading Tank Bigsby to Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th and a 6th round. Excuse me. And they're saying that they like him as a kick returner for some reason. I'm going to ask you guys how you feel. I don't see him as a kick returner in anyone's team. He's not built to be a kick returner in any type of way. But I also noticed that I've been seeing some kind of weird trends with these kick returners where, like, going to the Steelers, Caleb Johnson was returning kicks, who's not built like a kick returner as well. I don't know if there's some new philosophy that's going on in the NFL that they're trying to do something different or anything like that. But do you guys have any thoughts on Tank Bigsby getting traded to the Eagles?
I'm confused because with Shipley being injured, I would expect Bigsby to be the backup until he comes back, and then you can make him a kick returner. But I don't understand. I would have to see if it actually plays out well, because sometimes we question teams' moves and then they turn out to be great moves. So it's only week 1, so let's see how that turns out. 6 to 8 weeks, so let's see what happens.
I have a theory on the kick returning aspect. I think since now they're returning kicks a lot more often, and that's what the NFL wants, right?
Mhm.
And with this new implemented kickoff, I think now teams realize that they can't put that skinny speedster back there that's going to get absolutely destroyed with bodies coming at you every single time there's a kickoff or anything like that. So I think they're just getting more built guys to withstand more punishment. And running backs would be that, they'll fill in that void.
Right.
I hope for some reason, somehow, some way, some shape or form, this is the worst trade in Eagles history.
Honestly, if anyone, there's always trades that we look at. Like I think Omar said it, where it doesn't make sense right away. The Eagles, for some reason, they just know how to win trades. So this looks like a nothing trade right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up making them to the Super Bowl again for some reason. Like they just find a way somehow, even with their drafting and stuff like that. Like Howie Roseman he's a freaking wizard.
Yeah, he is.
So we are going to end this with a new segment that I wanted to do here on the show, called Let Him Cook. Let Him Cook is going to be a segment where we are going to give a hot take for next week, and then we'll double back next week on the next week's episode to see how we did. I'll kind of keep a tally so we can kind of have a score, and we will kind of just crown the person as the ball knower of the pod at the end of the season, whoever gets the most. So let's jump into this. Let him
cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
I'm going to kick this off right here. Next week, we got my Jets going against the Bills.
Oh, God.
Going against the Bills. I see Justin Fields going for 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and we get the win.
Ooh.
I'm adding that in there. Yep. That's going to be my Let Him Cook for the week. Daniel, who do you have and what do you have for Let Him Cook?
So Patriots are playing the Dolphins. I have the Patriots finally establishing the run. They realize what they're actually good at and who they actually have. I have the Dolphins losing again, which would lead to Tyreek Hill getting pissed off again. But
don't do it.
What if the Chiefs start calling? Just saying. What if the Chiefs start calling? A lot of familiarity there. Mahomes really, won't have Rice for a while. Worthy, Kelsey's, lost a step. Still Kelsey, but he can't be the only guy. And why not?
He's focused on other things right now too, apparently.
Yep. But I do have the Pats winning in Miami, so let's go.
I like it. Ryan, what do you have here? Let him cook.
Daniel, you're going to love this one. So I second that, except I think the Dolphins lose in dominating fashion, which leads to a Mike McDaniel firing after week 2.
Ooh, wow.
You like that? That's spicy.
I like that.
That's spicy. I think Mike McDaniel lost that locker room. They're not using Tyreek Hill. They're not utilizing him the way they should. And it just, look at the body language from all those guys. They don't want to play for that guy. He's officially lost that locker room. And I'll tell you what, the Miami Dolphins have had talent for a number of years now in recent memory. They should not be performing the way they are. They have great positional players. I think Mike McDaniel gets fired and the Patriots destroy the Dolphins. And I think it'll be ultimately good for Dolphins fans. He's got to go.
They need to hit that restart button. Omar, let him cook. What you got?
I got the 49ers being held under 20 points, 85 rushing yards, and losing late. Check in to the 49ers hospital. I blurred in, but you can see it.
Hold up.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. He really got a 49ers hospital. That's hilarious. They taking patients now. So you got them holding the 49ers to 85 rushing yards, losing the game.
Losing the game late in the game. They lose the game. They're being held under 22, and they're going to be held to 85 rushing yards.
Okay. That's tough. CMC there too. But that's the whole purpose of this. Let him cook. I want to thank you all for coming out, man. This has been a great episode. Football week 1 is in the books, and so is Macho Talk Sports episode 6. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for coming out. We'll see you next time.